Hello everyone, today is 14th of January. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Now guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So today we will be taking a quote from the Greek philosopher Aristotle, who says dignity does not consist in possessing honors but in deserving them. Now guys, this particular quote corresponds that a person should not strive for material success, rather a person should strive for the excellence, and by the excellence the honors will automatically be following up. Guys, this particular thing talks about the perfection into one's moral personality. Guys, we can utilize this particular quote into the topics of the GS paper number 4. So that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail. Now guys, taking up the first article, friends, today there has been no much relevant news articles across all the papers. However, only few articles are there, so we will be taking them. Now guys, this particular article is from Indian Express and it is important under the topic of the GS paper number 2, fundamental rights. Now guys, this particular article provides a judgment given by the Allahabad High Court, where Allahabad High Court had said that the 30 days notice is not mandatory under the Special Marriage Act of 1954. Now guys, before going into this particular judgment, I would like to give you some of the background so that you can better correlate to this particular topic. Now guys, you might be hearing that the different state governments such as the Uttar Pradesh, they are passing the anti-love jihad ordinances. Now, under the anti-love jihad ordinances, what is the substance? It provides that if a person has converted the religion only for the sake of marriage, then that particular conversion will not be allowed. Now guys, the states such as Uttar Pradesh, they are following the judgment of the Allahabad High Court, which was a earlier judgment where Allahabad High Court had provided that the religion can only be changed if there is a genuine change of heart. This particular judgment, guys, was from 2014, and then a single bench judgment in 2020 has also repeated this particular thing. However, guys, if I tell you there is a kind of a very opposite direction also, which is also given by the Allahabad High Court in 2020, where Allahabad High Court had said into the Priyanka Kharwar case that the decisions which were given earlier, they were not completely taking up the constitutional mandate, and if a person wants to take change religion even for getting married, it is not a wrong thing. And even the similar thing has been provided by the Supreme Court into the Hadia judgment that a person can change the religion only for getting married. There is nothing wrong. However, guys, the state government such as the Uttar Pradesh, they are relying on to the old judgment into this particular direction. Now, this is the entire matter. Now, guys, a fundamental question arises that whether there is no law by which the people from different religion they can get married. So the answer is that yes, there is a law which allows the people from different religion to get married, and that law is the Special Marriage Act 1954, where any two people who have reached the marriageable age, they can get married without changing their religion. Now guys, one question will come into your mind that okay, if there is an act is existing, then why people are changing their religion? So the question comes that the constitution of this particular act or this particular legislation has some flaw. Now, what is a flaw? Flaw is the section number 5 of this Special Marriage Act, which provides that if two people from different faith have to marry, they need to give a 30-day notice, and that 30-day notice will be pasted outside the premise of the registrar of marriage. Now, this 30-day notice intend to seek that if anybody is having a problem with this particular marriage, they can put forward their claims. But guys, you know that many a times the interfaith marriages are happening when the society as well as family doesn't approves. So this 30-day notice becomes actually a kind of a torture to the people. So therefore, rather than going under the Special Marriage Act, they change their religion and then they get married. Now, the Allahabad High Court had provided that this provision is violative of the fundamental right of liberty. It violates the right to privacy as well as freedom to choose the life partner without the interference. Why a particular person who had reached a marriageable age needs to provide this 30-day advance notice? It has been provided that it is violative of the Puttaswamy case judgment, where the Supreme Court has clearly provided that the privacy is a fundamental right under Article number 21, and even the Supreme Court into the Hadia case had provided that two consenting individuals can change their religion, they can get married. State has nothing to do into this particular thing. Now, actually, the section number 5 of the Special Marriage Act was drawn onto a Victorian law or the British law of 1872, where such a 30-day provision was provided, and simply we have developed onto that line also. So, guys, now it has been nullified and it will be providing some kind of a respite to the interfaith couples and might be saving them from the tyranny of the state. So, guys, that's all into this particular direction, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Business Standard as well as the Hindu newspaper, and here we can see that the Reserve Bank of India had formed a working group to regulate the digital lending into India. Now, guys, into past few days, we have seen a many number of cases, particularly into the South India, the states such as the Telangana, states such as Hyderabad, where people are committing suicide because they have taken some money from the digital lending apps, and now the recovery agents they are harassing them, and because of that the people have committed the suicide. So the Reserve Bank of India has now decided that we will see the scope of the digital lending and how the app based lending can be regularized so that it can provide fruits to the people rather than it becoming a agent of harassment. So there are 6 members which have been appointed. 4 members belong to RBI, 2 are the external members. Now, what is their mandate? Their mandate is A, to see the risks that these digital lending apps imposes onto the financial stability of the country, because guys, they are competing with the institutions such as bank and NBFCs who have actually been mandated to provide the finance to the people. So without seeking the RBI's direction, they are also operating into that sphere. So it we need to see it. Then further, it has to recommend the regulatory changes that are needed into the India's financial laws and how the excessive interest rates which are being charged by these digital lending apps they can be regulated. Now, guys, the working cab group we have also been given a very clear mandate that they also need to develop the fair practices code which all the digital lending players have to be utilized. Moreover, this working group also needs to provide the recommendations as the measures which are needed for the preserving the data, for the data governance clear, and just to maintain the privacy of the data which has been gathered by these lending apps. Now, guys, moving little bit beyond from this particular entire regularization, the Reserve Bank have also appreciated that the digital lending apps can play a very bigger role. For example, guys, today when we talk, there is the need of a financial inclusion still into the country. Now, financial inclusion just doesn't stands for opening the bank account, rather it also means that the people should have the accessibility to various financial products, which also includes the product of loan. So it has been provided that these digital lending apps they have a potential to provide the accessibility of the financial products and services into a very fair, efficient and inclusive manner, and they can support an important role. And today the fintech led innovation is also at the core. So, guys, there they can play an important role. So all these particular things are needed to be studied by the Reserve Bank constituted working group. Now, guys, we can use this particular thing as a reference in our GS paper number 3 into the banking sector. So, guys, that's all, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Indian Express, and here we can see a clarification that has been sought by the Ministry of Defense with respect to the section number 497, that is the adultery. Now, guys, we will be going into this particular news article, but before, let's see the basic information. Now, in India, there was earlier the section number 497 of the IPC, which was making adultery a criminal offense. Now, what do we understand by adultery? Guys, according to section 497, it was provided that if there is a husband and there is a wife, and another person, if he is involving into any physical relations with the wife without the consent of the husband, then this particular man could be charged under the section number 497 of adultery, and there can be jail term up to the 5 years. So all these things were provided here. Now, guys, this particular adultery law was called as the one which is a relict of the patriarchal mindset and was called as highly unfair to the women. Why? Let's see the problems here. there. Guys, A, the problem stands here is that there is no power to the women that she can also press the same charge onto the husband if the husband is involving into the sexual relations with another woman. Then the B, there is a problem is that this particular law is a reflective of an attitude that the husband has entire ownership of over the body of the women, and even if the woman is having a consent, even then she cannot be allowed to have such physical relations. So therefore it was said that this particular law is violative of article number 14 and article number 15 under the fundamental right. And same thing was appealed into 2017 into the Supreme Court by the Joseph Shine, who said that it is violative of the fundamental rights. Now, guys, the center government, meanwhile, was of a view that such kind of law onto the adultery need to be kept into the statute book, and the Supreme Court should not held it unconstitutional. However, finally, the Supreme Court striked it off. Now, guys, there are, we can see there is a list of countries where the adultery is still a crime, and it includes the countries such as Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Iran, more of the conservative countries. However, guys, the countries such as the China, Japan, Brazil, New Zealand, Australia, Scotland, there the adultery was earlier a crime, but it has now been done away, and now India has entered this second group of countries where adultery is no longer a crime. Now, guys, what is the present issue? So present issue is this, that Ministry of Defense wants that such a 2018 judgment of the Supreme Court of the Joseph Shine judgment, where the adultery was decriminalized, that thing should not be applicable onto the armed forces. For armed forces, section 497 needs to be there. It has been said that armed forces is a distinct class where the discipline needs to be there, and it has been provided that the army personnel who is serving somewhere out, he will always be having an apprehension that the family might be indulging into some untoward activity, and it might cause instability within the applicant's services. So therefore it has been said that the section 497 needs to stay for the defense personnels. And further, guys, it has also been provided by the Ministry of Defense that fundamental rights are anyhow restricted to the members of the armed services under the article number 33 of the Indian Constitution. You might have also heard about it. So it has been said that it needs to be restricted. Now, guys, this particular thing has not been taken very positively by the various women organizations, and they had said that it is a kind of an insult to the armed forces personals as well as to their spouses. It raises that a kind of a mistrust is prevailing into them, and even the women are being still treated by the such kind of old colonial Victorian kind of mentality. However, guys, nothing concrete had happened into this particular thing. Why? Because the Joseph Shine judgment was taken by the Constitution bench of the five judges. So at least five judges needs to be there to take any decision onto this particular matter. So we need to wait for such time, and we'll see that how this particular matter will be unfolding. So, guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it pertains to the recent address that has been made by India's Minister of External Affairs at the United Nations Security Council, where now UNSC is marking the 20 years of the resolution that was taken as a part of a global commitment to have a war against the terrorism. Now, guys, after into the aftermath of 9/11 attacks that was made into the USA, the countries came together and took this particular commitment, and now in 2021 the 20 years are going to be over. Now, the Minister of External Affairs had highlighted that today there is a necessity to streamline the actions among the different terror countering agencies, and they all need to make a unified policy that how the terrorism can be controlled. Now, guys, however, just moving little bit beyond the scope of this particular article, if I give you some additional information, there is also the Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, which is being negotiated since 1996, and it wants to have an overarching convention. But, guys, no success has been attained into this particular direction, and you might be amused that the terrorism is such a big problem, and since even till now there is no convention. Further, guys, the Minister of External Affairs had also provided that we need to streamline streamline also the process of designating the people who are terrorist. Guys, if we know today there are some countries which don't designate the people as a terrorist onto the notions of their religion, onto such other kind of vested interest. So such things need not to be there. Further, the Minister of External Affairs had raised some other observations also, that the funding pattern today for the terrorist, it is also changing, and we need to recognize that today they not only depend on to the traditional source of funding, that is the funding by the extortion, money laundering, drugs, wildlife trafficking, but their funding patterns have changed. And now, guys, what happened, they are using the loopholes into the digital security and the anonymity which is being provided into the blockchain technology. Now they are raising money into the form of the bitcoin, into the form of such cryptocurrencies and all such kind of things. So here also we need to have a very specific and a streamlined domain. Further, guys, it has been said that the countries which are not abiding to the Financial Action Task Force recommendations, they need to be dealt with a heavy hand. Now, guys, this particular reference was clearly made into the context of the Pakistan. So you might be knowing that the Pakistan has been put into the grey list because Pakistan has not fulfilled the 27-point action plan which was given by the FETF to basically curb the terror funding. Now, guys, the India was of an opinion that either it needs to be continued into the grey list or it further needs to be downgraded into the blacklist if the Pakistan is not abiding. However, guys, as a turn of event is there, now Pakistan is actually taking some of the steps, and we can see that recently the Pakistan had taken some of the actions. For example, it has arrested the wanted figures such as the Zaki ur Rahman Lakwi, Hafiz Saeed, and had even issued the warrant for the Masood Azhar into the cases of the terror financing. So the Pakistan is also apprehensive, and it is itself taking up the steps. Further, guys, there are certain countries who are on the account of religious affinities are not designating some people as the terrorist. And into this particular direction, again, the names of the countries such as the Turkey, Malaysia, Pakistan comes, and India is putting forward that such kind of affinities need not to be taken, and a consolidated effort or a fight against the terrorism is the need of the hour. So, guys, all these things which had came out of this particular address, it is the analysis of it. Now, friends, one particular point, that as we talk about the money laundering, it is an important topic even into the GS paper number 3 under the internal security. So there also we can provide this particular point, that the patterns of the money transfer, the money laundering have changed, and now not only into the traditional way it is happening, rather it is also happening into the tech ways such as using the blockchain. Guys, I hope that you have understood it, and now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article, it is taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking that government is going to roll out the vaccine, but the vaccines are being rolled out even when the final data with respect to the Bharat Biotech has not came out, and even the data which has came out into the context of the Serum Institute, it is also very much limited into the numbers of the participants that were concerned, and even those participants were from the countries of Brazil as well as from the UK. So therefore, it has induced a kind of a vaccine hesitancy into the people, and people are not very much inclined to take the vaccine. So, guys, it has been said that right now a kind of a trust is needed to be built between the state and the citizens, so that this entire drive can become effective. So government needs to show more accountability, more transparency, and need to counter all the misinformation that is being generated into this particular direction. Now it has been provided that months earlier the initiatives should have been taken to consult the people to provide the information with respect to the vaccine, but now it has been very much late. So what government can do today? Today government need to constitute the national forums where government needs to bring the different stakeholders together, and there they need to discuss the scientific basis for the approval, the rollout strategy, and all this particular kind of thing. And only after such consultative process the people's confidence into the vaccine will be boosted. And at the same time, there also needs to be the public education and information attempt through large scale state and local level news networks and all such kind of things. Moreover, guys, the scientific experts, community specialists, and leaders, they also need to come together and need to curtail any kind of misinformation that is happening. Further, guys, in order to take the effective persuasion, it has been said that the local leaders need to be constituted, which can be the public figures, religious leaders, and they are needed to be made ambassadors into the process as how the right information can be given. Moreover, guys, self-help groups, faith groups, media, educational institution, they also need to participate into the entire process. And by making it more deliberative, more participative, we need to further move into the vaccine rollout. So, guys, this is all. However, little bit of a generic points only have been provided. So that's it. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular two articles have been taken from the Hindu, and both of them are talking about the direction that has been given by the Supreme Court with respect to staying of the three farm laws that were controversial, onto which the farmers were protesting onto the outskirts of Delhi. Now, guys, yesterday we have taken 3 to 4 articles onto this particular light, that why they are setting a bad and wrong precedent and how it is wrong onto the constitutional aspect. Guys, every day now these type of articles will be coming, and I will recommend that you don't need to go and read all those articles, because essentially the same points but into the different narrative will be pointed out. So please save effort and don't follow essentially the same articles. So, guys, we don't need to see this. Nothing much substantial has been provided. All the points already into the yesterday's newspaper analysis, that is on to the 13th of January, has been covered. So, guys, that's it, and now we will be taking up the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking as how the USA believes that the strong India can act as a counterbalance against the China. Now, guys, what has happened? The Trump, before leaving his presidency, had declassified one of the document from 2018, and into this particular document, it has been said that the US is being driven by three major objectives into the Indo-Pacific. Objective number one: to check the rise of the China and to make sure that the China's influence is not increasing. After that, the second goal is to check that the North Korea's power is not increasing and it is not leading to be a danger onto the entire region's security. Then, guys, thirdly, it has been provided that the US aims to be the meaningful defense partner of the India, and further it wants to see India that it is a net security provider into the region, and into this particular capacity USA wants to enhance the cooperation with the India. And then further, it has also been provided that USA wants to seek the meaningful leadership by the India into the East Asia Summit, ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting plus and all them. And at the same time, guys, the USA also wants to contain the rise of the China by containing its Belt and Road Initiative, which is actually a kind of a thing by which the China is putting the countries into the debt position and we aims to take over their strategic assets. Guys, it has been provided that USA further aims to support India's Act East policy also, and it has provided that it see India, Japan, Australia, all these countries as a meaningful partners, because all of them are the democracies which are working to keep the security of the region at into their highest priority. Further, guys, on to the Russia also, the document speaks. It says that the Russia will be a kind of a marginal player into the region, and the dominant players will be the countries such as the USA, China, and India. Now, guys, if we talk about the declassification of this particular document, then it was actually to be declassified after only the gap of 20 years, but earlier it has been declassified to show the commitment that the USA is having for the region, and basically to take India particularly into the confidence. So, guys, that's all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. And, guys, that is for the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I believe that you are finding the initiative useful into your preparation. So that's it, and thank you so much.